Okay, so how can you get started with competency-based math in your own classroom? This video is going to help you start that. What we're going to focus on today is answering the question, how will your students learn the information? Getting students to choose their own practice and self-assessing their work and then making a determination of if they're ready to move on is probably the easier of the two options. But also, once you have a repertoire of ways the students can learn, that's when they can start making the choice for themselves, because this is all about voice and choice. And it also allows you to maybe spend more time with smaller groups and allow students who are moving a little bit quicker to go off on their own a little bit, because you're still going to be monitoring their work. You're still going to see what they're doing. So for this video, we're going to focus on setting up our sheet, our planning sheet for students and how they're going to choose to learn the information. For the video, you need a blank planning sheet and something to write with. This is what a blank planning sheet will look like. Normally I have everything typed, but as we fill it out today, I'm going to fill it in with my own handwriting. And you're going to think about a unit that you know really well. You want this to be a unit that you have a lot of resources for, and you can call it off on the top of your head of what you can do. And then you're going to think about the first two lessons that are in that unit. And that's what you're going to work on today as we do this together. And anytime you want to pause the video and work on your own sheet, you can do that. The two lessons that I'm going to focus on are in my adding and subtracting unit for fourth graders. One is estimating sums and differences, and then the second lesson is adding multi-digit whole numbers. So I know that I have a lot of resources for those, and I also know that the students have a background of adding and subtracting when they get to me. So this is not a lesson that they will have seen for the first time, which also helps when you're letting them choose the learn, because you might have students who already know how to do it. And so this is a great way to get them started on choosing what they're going to do. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set up the titles of my unit and my lesson. So my overall unit is adding and subtracting, my lesson 1 is estimating, and my lesson 2 is adding. And so what I'm going to do today is I'm going to look at filling in the options for my learns for both lessons. Thinking about how you normally teach students, a mini lesson is always an option. So meeting with the teacher or mini lesson, I always put that for my students as one of the options, because some students feel comfortable most meeting with you. And I think as teachers, we also feel best when we are giving the students the direct instruction. So that's always going to be the first option in my learns. But then I want to think about my other learns and what are my other options. There are many different ways that students can learn the material. Especially with the internet, there's so many resources that we have available to us. So direct instruction is your mini lesson. That's always my go-to. I've also started making videos for my students, but you can find them online as well. Khan Academy has many videos that go along with the lessons for every single grade. And even if you look on TeacherTube or YouTube, you can probably find a video that teaches something exactly how you want it to be taught. But other times I know that it would save me time to just make my own video. And so I use my smartboard notebook. There's a recording device through that. Or there are some online websites that you can also use to record your lesson. Another option is the how-to sheet, and I'm going to show you that as one of the options for today. Most workbooks that districts use have a page that walks students through the concept they're learning, probably similar to a how-to sheet. You can always have student working with another student, especially someone who's ahead of the lesson and has shown that they are competent and comfortable with that material. And also Google is an option that students can Google something. Obviously you would want to monitor what would come up, but often that's how adults learn. And so that's something that students can also use. So I've decided that for the lesson 1 on estimating, I'm going to use a how-to sheet. And I really just wrote it up as if I were going to explain it to students So I took them through step by step on how I would estimate either adding or subtracting. And you can see that some of the problems, I underline what place I want them to round to. And then I'm also saying that if no digits are underlined, that they are going to round to the highest place. So I'm walking them through each step, showing them what that looks like. And then I do want to give them practice within the mini lesson. To me, this is like a mini lesson, so I would give them practice just as I would if I were teaching them. So I'm going to post the answers to these 3 questions in the room, and they're going to self-check. And I'm going to remind them that if they choose this learn, that it's their job to come to me if they did not get them correct. Because that's part of competency-based math, is being able to make those decisions on their own and also know when they need other support. For my lesson 2, I'm going to do a video on the teacher's website. Again, the students have added before. They've added multi-digit numbers before. So once they know the algorithm and they're comfortable with that, there shouldn't be a problem with them adding larger numbers, which is the difference between 3rd and 4th grade. So I think giving them a video on my website and walking them through the problems is going to be easy for them. So that's going to be my other lesson in lesson 2. Here you can see an example of a video I have made. This is using the Smartboard recording program within my Smart Notebook. And I'm walking through students through the addition, and having them practice through the video. I'm also using estimating from lesson 1 to check our work. So let's think about what we've talked about in this video. The students have a choice of how they're going to learn the skill that you're teaching. And you can give them the options of those ways. And so you also have the opportunity to choose the options. You're going to choose the ones that fit that skill. If it's something brand new that's really important to your curriculum and you think a mini lesson is the only way for students to learn it, that's okay. But if it's something that you think you could try using a video or a how-to sheet, then let them be able to choose among the two. You can always give them a mini lesson the second time around.